Netflix's latest Korean drama My Hololove has quite the interesting premise, and starts strongly with a decent opening episode. It tackles a possible future, where AI could be part of our lives. As with many other AI movies or series, we're set to see just how they would interact with humans, and whether they would start having real feelings, which has always been a fascinating topic. In the case of My Hololove, our main protagonist suffers from an unusual condition which stops her from recognizing people's faces. This definitely adds an edge to the drama, and I'm looking forward to see what the series will offer during its 12-episode run. We start the episode with Geolab CEO Yoo-jin and her brother Go-nan-do preparing for a presentation. They start by talking to investors about AI and how advanced it has now become. They then reveal that they've made the first AI hologram and surprise everyone when Nan-do actually turns out to be a hologram, visible thanks to the glass surrounding them, and can also be seen through special hologlasses. While So-yin works long hours at a glasses company, she keeps to herself as Yoo-jin leaves a meeting. She comes face to face with one of the investors, Chan-sung, who offers her flowers and to go dinner with him. However, she declines the offer and heads out in her car. Suddenly she realizes that there are cars chasing her. This prompts her to put on her glasses, and as Holo appears, he decides to take control of the car. The car chase ensues, which ends in a crash. Yoo-jin runs through the streets, while Holo comes face to face with a stoic So-yin, who walks right through him. This prompts Holo to tell Yoo-jin to give the woman her glasses. After she drops them in So-yin's bags, she gets taken by the strange men after her, who later drop her by a bus stop unconscious. The next day, So-yin notices the hologlasses in her bag and puts them on. Suddenly, she sees Holo, but is startled when he disappears after taking them off. Thinking he must have walked away, So-yin heads into work, and it's here we see that she suffers from prosopagnosia, which means she's unable to recognize faces. She's also very lonely and misunderstood, as she never told anyone about her condition. Back home, she decides to put the glasses back on and is startled when Holo appears again. As she tries to push him out the way, her hands go right through him, which prompts her to run away screaming, thinking he is a ghost. In the meantime, Yoo-jin is visited by Chan-sung in hospital. We then see a strange figure with a black motorcycle helmet waiting and watching outside the door. In her flat, Holo tries to communicate with So-yin and explain everything to her. Still scared, she puts the glasses back on, and Holo explains who he is to her. He tells her that he'll soon be taken back by his company, but suggests she consider herself as a beta tester. She refuses though and tells him she wants to return the glasses. The next day, after she's unable to find out where the glasses are from, So-yin is given a new long project to work on. Holo then rings her to offer his help. She puts the glasses on, and as he clicks his fingers, starts controlling all the computers as he organizes the files for her with holographic screens around him. He manages to do the work in just 3 hours, which she's grateful for as it would have taken her 3 days. As they drive home, she agrees to let him carry on helping her with the project. He then explains to her the 3 rules he has to follow: improve the user's happiness, follow the laws of the user's country, and never lie to its user. After he shows her what he's capable of, she asks him to never change his appearance. The next day, So-yin faces a challenge at work. She is chosen to accompany the CEO at a launch party, and is asked to tell him who all the guests are. During the party, she struggles to do so, but thankfully Holo is there to help as he analyzes the faces of the guests for her. After the event, she confides in Holo about her inability to recognize people and explains that it started when she was little. The next day, we see that So-yin is feeling more confident at work as Holo helps her recognize all her colleagues, including boss Kang-woo, who she has a crush on. In the evening, she decides to finally accept an invitation to go drinking with her colleagues. Unfortunately, she later sees that Kang-woo is seeing someone else as he kisses another woman. Devastated by what she's seen, So-yin walks home in the rain with Holo. After trying to comfort her, they discuss her condition, where she explains that she doesn't tell anyone about it because she was teased in school. He then takes her to the top of her building, where he has created the illusion of multiple lights and decoration. After drinking and dancing together, So-yin passes out. We then cut to the man in a motorcycle helmet who seems to have been tracking Holo's location. He arrives on the rooftop, and as he takes his helmet off, we see that he looks identical to Holo. The episode ends with him putting the glasses on and looking directly at Holo. My Hololove has managed to give us a decent first episode, setting the scene really well, and presenting us all of our central characters. There's a great blend of humor, drama and suspense, which is something many Korean dramas are usually very good at. There are some really nicely edited shots too, and one in particular sees a scene involving So-yeon fading into Yoo-jin in hospital. AI are a subject which has been used in many other shows, and whether My Holo Love will stand out among the slew of others in this genre remains to be seen. For now, the story is intriguing, and the characters interesting. This is set to be an easy-to-binge sci-fi series that should appeal to large audience thanks to its light humor and romance too. This is definitely one to stick around with. Episode 2 of My Holo Love picks up with Nandu logging in as an admin on the server and speaking to Holo, who asks Nandu to stay with So-yeon a little longer. When Nandu asks him why, he replies with cause, which is a word he learned from So-yeon. This surprises him as it's a human answer. Suddenly, So-yeon wakes up and accidentally kisses Nandu. Startled, she slaps him and runs away. Nandu returns home, where we see that he lives with his sister Yoo-jin. She asks him if he managed to get the AI back, but he replies that there was a change of plan. They then discuss the Holo project, which isn't ready to launch yet. Heading out, he narrates how he died 12 years ago as we see a flashback of him jumping off a cliff and of his family gathered at his funeral. He also explains that he founded GeoLab and created Holo, but everyone believes that he's dead. He then decides to visit the senior programmer at his office to discuss the changes he noticed about Holo. The next day, So-yeon finds out from Holo that Kangwoo rejected the kiss as he told her that he has feelings for someone else. After analyzing this response, Holo tells her that there is a 71% chance that he has feelings for her and suggests helping her with it. This surprises Nandu and Yoo-jin as we see that they're watching the interactions between the two. Yoo-jin meets with an investor, but when he turns out to be more interested in her than her AI, Chang-sun comes to the rescue. He asks her again to let his company invest, but she's reluctant as Magic Mirror is their competitor. Heading home, Holo manages to arrange a situation to get Kangwoo to take So-yeon back home. In the car, Holo tries to coach her into flirting with Kang, but proves to be a little distracting. Before they say goodbye, she asks him to go to a musical with him, which he agrees to. Holo and So-yeon have drinks to celebrate and spend some time together. Nandu seems a little bothered by the exchange and suddenly realizes that he has seen her face before. He then listens as they speak about love and whether it can really be eternal. This angers Nandu as he doesn't believe in what they are saying. After spending the day together shopping and eating, So-yeon returns home to her roommate leaving for work. The next evening, she heads to the musical, but Kangwoo is running late. Nandu then sends her a text saying that the company will be coming to take their AI back soon. This upsets her greatly, and, leaving the building, she tells Holo that her life has been better since he has been around, and it should now go back to what it was before. He tries to reassure her by saying what a great person she is, but she still doesn't know what everyone looks like, but he's not like everyone else. Holo calls Nandu, demanding to know why he ended the beta testing. Nandu replies that he shouldn't have acted as a love counselor and could have caused her a lot of heartache. Holo goes back to So-yeon and tells her that she will not be leaving him and to enjoy the show. Returning to Nandu again, Holo tries to convince him that he should stay with So-yeon, and this leads to an argument between the two around feelings as he insists that he doesn't have any. Nandu decides to go and get Holo back himself, while we see a flashback of him being abandoned by his mother as a child and creating Holo. Unfortunately, he gets hit by a car chasing him while riding his motorcycle near the theater. So-yeon runs after him to help, but because he has hit an electrical pole, we see that one of the cables has become loose and is about to electrocute So-yeon. Nandu rushes to her just as Holo manages to connect to all the power grids and turn them off, where we end the episode. Episode 2 of My Holo Love sees Holo slowly changing and getting attached to So-yeon, ending with an explosive twist. In a bid to save her, he shuts all the electricity off, which is quite the controversial decision. The story continues to skip by at a decent pace as we're also slowly finding out more and more about both of our main characters. Nandu seems to have had quite the difficult past, which in turn has made him very cold and apathetic towards happiness and love. With So-yeon unable to recognize faces, and Holo determined to make a difference, it'll be interesting to see how their character and story develops in the next episodes to come. In the meantime though, My Holo Love is a really enjoyable sci-fi K-drama and Netflix could be onto a real. Episode 3 of My Holo Love starts with the aftermath of the car crash. While Nandu watches So-yeon being looked at by paramedics, he berates Holo for what he did with the power cut. Holo replies that he needed to do that for her and him too, as he believes that he needs her. An angry Nandu returns home and calls the senior developer to hit the kill switch, while Soyeon thinks about the night's events. Nandu heads to his office, followed by his sister, but just as he's about to press the button, she manages to convince him not to, claiming that Holo used to be his one and only friend, and he only acted that way to save them. The next day, we see that Nandu has decided to move next door to Soyeon, as he plans to reset Holo to the point before he met her. After seeing his creator, Holo quickly contacts him and asks what he's planning. Nandu replies that there is an error with him, as he shouldn't have caused a blackout. Heading out for her date with Kangwoo, Soyeon mentions to Holo that her new neighbor seems to have the same voice as him. During dinner, she asks for Holo's help again, as she struggles to reply to her date's questions. Back home, Soyeon asks Holo to play her some jazz music before recreating another illusion, this time of a night garden with flowers. Meanwhile, at Magic Mirror, Chan Sung seeks the help of an IT specialist, Gai Ho, from the police department, to find out who the hacker was that caused the blackout the night before. Returning home, Soyeon finds Nandu by her door and asks him if he's trying to break in. As he denies it, Soyeon's mum, Yoon, arrives and notices Nandu. She later invites him over for dinner, and as she fusses over him, we find out that he's an orphan who was adopted by a family in New Zealand before returning to Korea. After saying goodbye to her mum, Soyeon is visited by the policeman, who asks her about the accident and the other person involved. At home, Holo tells her that the mysterious man is from the company who created him and is probably after the glasses. The next day, Soyeon heads to the museum with Kangwoo, who's getting a little bothered by Soyeon's constant texting. At home, she despairs that Kangwoo now thinks she might be seeing someone, so Holo talks to her about revealing the truth to Kangwoo. While she's having a shower, Nandu sneaks into her flat to hack into the glasses. After she puts her glasses back on, she hears a noise outside and sees Nandu has fallen over a bike. She brings him back inside to tend to his ankle. It is here that we find out they met when they were children, as we see a flashback of the two of them together. Back in the present, he asks Holo one more time why he chose Soyeon, and, not getting any answers, decides to reset him to the day before he met her. Soyeon meets with Kangwoo in a coffee shop to tell him the truth, but as she asks him to put the glasses on, Nandu resets the program. Neither of them are able to see Holo, and despite trying to explain herself, Kang tells her they should stop seeing each other, as he saw her coming out of another man's place. She starts sobbing in the street while Nandu tries to fix Holo as he glitches badly. Yoojin meets with Chan Sung in a bar, who introduces her to Gai Ho, the policeman. He tells her about a cyber attack which causes a power cut, and that they found a motorcycle at the scene which is in her name. She lies and tells them that it was stolen from her a while back. In the middle of the night, Nandu finds Soyeon sitting on a swing. She turns around and thinks he's Holo, allowing him to impersonate the hologram, while she berates him for not being there for her. He tries to apologize, but she tells him that she doesn't have any confidence and doesn't think she's worthy of anyone's love. He tells her that she's a good person, but that he understands, as he has never loved anyone either, and believes their flaws are what's brought them together. He then leaves, explaining that the company is calling him back. We then cut to Chan Sung telling someone that the hologlasses have been located, while Nandu rings the office, asking to do a rollback on the reset as the episode closes. The third episode of My Holo Love had quite a few twists, which should definitely keep you on your toes, as the story remains intriguing and thrilling. We're finding out more about Nandu's background now, and the connection between him and Soyeon was a nice little touch, and gives more depth to the show. The actors so far have done a great job with their performances, and in particular Yoon Hye-min has given an excellent portrayal of both Nandu and Holo. I was really happy to see that Lee Young-yoon was in the drama too, as I have always enjoyed watching her in other movies or dramas. We also saw that Chang Sun was after the glasses, and this twist definitely added even more suspense to the episode. So far, My Holo Love has been quite the enjoyable series, and I am looking forward to see it explore the human side of this AI. Episode 4 of My Holo Love starts as we see a glitching Holo remembering Soyeon and returning to normal. He heads home and apologizes, but she stops him, telling him what he said made her feel better. Holo then talks to Nandu, who reveals that his new behavior has made him decide to do an official beta test on him. Holo also relays to him that what he said to Soyeon helped, but Nandu quickly brushes it off. The next day, things are a little awkward at work between Soyeon and Kang. Holo later tries helping, but she rejects him as she feels pathetic and incompetent. However, he promises to be there for her if she needs to lean on him. Meanwhile, Chan Sung discusses the connection between all three involved and whether they should go and get the hologlasses. After doing some food shopping, So Yin heads up to her rooftop and has drinks with Holo. She's soon joined by Yuram, who convinces her to take a trip to the ocean after finding out why she's upset. Yuram and So Yin arrive by the seaside, and while they're enjoying themselves, Holo relays his worries to Nandu as he notices people tailing So Yin. He then asks him to go and look after her, but this might be difficult as she's not currently wearing the glasses. Chan Sung continues to try and find out the identity of the motorcyclist, while Nandu arrives at the hotel where he sees that both girls are unable to afford a suite, offering instead to share his room with them. So Yin later goes for a walk by the sea, puts her glasses on and watches as Holo enjoys looking at the waves. She tells him she's getting frustrated by his constant presence, and is also confused as he acts like a real guy. Returning to the hotel, So Yin finds Nandu with a bloody nose. She tends to it, but they soon have an argument when he calls her sentimental, and she accuses him of not having any emotions. In his office, Nandu later finds out that So Yin has asked Holo to give her some space and to act less human, which he's determined to find out why. Chan Sung decides to use the company So Yin works at to help him launch their new smart glasses. This looks to be a way to get close to the woman and the device he is after. During a meeting, So Yin offers to organize the marketing presentation, which pleases all her colleagues, while we find out that Kang is being transferred to their US branch. After a long day at work, So Yin joins her colleagues for leaving drinks for Kangwoo. Walking home, she loses her balance and the schoolgirl comes to her help. Only it turns out to be Holo, and she realizes that he has been helping her throughout the day, but changed his appearances as he wanted to help her any way he could. She confronts him about it, though, as she thought they were real. The next day, Seo Yin meets with Chan Sung and does her presentation. We then see his men getting ready as they plan to take the glasses from her, while Nandu realizes what causes Holo to act the way he does. After analyzing all the memories, he comes to the conclusion that Holo takes on the pain of others when they go through him. He also has been wondering why he himself has been acting different around her, and realizes that it's because they share the same flaws and have developed feelings for her. So Yin asks Holo if humans and AI can fall in love. He tells her that he has always struggled to understand human emotions, but doesn't think it can be possible. As Chan Sung and his men put their plan into motion, Holo starts glitching, and the men soon come after her. Nandu rushes over too, but is too late as he watches them take her away. He quickly runs after the car, and manages to get Holo to stop them. He then reaches So Yin and performs CPR, when he realizes she's not breathing. As she wakes up, she's able to focus on his face, but thinks he is Holo. The episode ends with Nandu tearfully holding her as he's relieved that she is alive. What a tense ending. Nandu arrives just in time to save So Yin with the help of Holo. I quite like the twist, where she was able to see his face, and this could mean that this condition was caused by a past trauma and she hopefully might be able to be cured one day. This episode also tackles whether AI can have feelings for another human, which is quite controversial and interesting. Nandu realizes that he is deeply linked to Holo as they share the same flaws and feelings too. We have so far seen his character evolve quite well, and the show continues to advance at a good speed with enough story and character development. As each episode ends with a revealer twist, My Holo Love continues to present a really more-ish Korean. Episode 5 of My Holo Love starts with a small flashback of a traumatic day in So Yin's childhood. She then wakes up in hospital, and is surprised to be able to see Holo's face clearly. She tells him that it must be because she loves him. This surprises him, and causes him to hiccup, while Nandu listens to their conversation. As Nandu returns to Geolab in a daze, his sister berates him for putting himself in danger. However, he ignores her, and tells her that So Yin loves Holo, which makes him feel like his heart is being ripped apart. So Yin speaks to the doctor about her condition, who thinks that it could be psychological, and that the person she can see must be special to her. After she relays this to Holo, the latter speaks to Nandu about her declaration, and believes it is because Nandu is the one who saved her. Both Holo and Yujin believe that he should reveal himself to her, which will help with the situation. In Magic Mirror, Chan Sung is under a lot of pressure from his dad to succeed with his mission, while So Yin buys food to make dinner for them. As they eat, he tries to approach the subject about her loving him, but she quickly brushes him off and suggests going clothes shopping the next day. Meanwhile, Yujin is under a lot of pressure from the investors as they want her to give them a launch date and threatens to pull their funds if she doesn't. This prompts her to go and find So-Yin and Holo, but Nandu stops her just in time. He then decides to pretend to be Holo while she goes ice skating. This causes some funny scenes as he tries to talk to her. On their way home, he finally manages to ask her how she would feel if there was someone that looks just like him. She tells him that it wouldn't make any difference as she believes that she was able to see his face because she is in love and not the other way around. Arriving home, So-Yin's mother joined them and questions her daughter about Nandu. She later goes into his house and wants to know his intentions with his daughter as she knows that she has a crush on someone. She tells him she had a difficult childhood and asks him to take good care of her. Unfortunately, as she steps out, she faints just as So-Yin gets back from her walk. Nandu comes out hiding his face and offers to take her to hospital where So-Yin finds out that she has high blood pressure. She then goes to thank her neighbor, but he doesn't turn around as he wants to make sure she doesn't recognize him. At home, Nandu tells Holo that there was no error that made him act that way, but believes that it was love, so he commands him to make her happy despite his protests. His sister comes in to comfort him, and she mentions he was never able to love because he was abandoned by his mother, but created Holo to be the person he wanted to be. It's snowing on the way home as So-Yin and Holo walk and make snowmen. He then tells her that he doesn't know much about love, but he will try to love her, while Yujin returns home to a sick Nandu. After asking for Chan Sung's help, she gets a call from him telling her that the investors wants to put all their funds in Magic Mirror. The police have arrested one of Chan's men, Zhang, and during the interrogation, he tells them that 12 years ago a young hacker got hold of police records, but committed suicide before he could be caught and tells them that it's him they need to arrest. The police then arrive at GeoLab just as Nandu makes his way to the meeting Yujin is having with the investors. myhololove has certainly given us an original love triangle and an engaging story. We see that So-Yin has had a difficult life so far, and her condition has made her very lonely. The drama has so far managed to develop her character well as Holo helps her come out of her shell. He seems to be the catalyst in helping both her and her creator who both share a traumatic childhood and struggle to let anyone in their lives. With the looming threat of Chan Sung in the air, myhololove carries on being quite the tense and enjoyable drama as we reach the halfway point of the story. It will be interesting to see what the show will have up its sleeve for our trio next, and whether they will get their well-deserved happy. Episode 6 of myhololove starts with Nandu arriving at the meeting and managing to convince the investors to stay on board when he reveals that their AI might now be able to feel love towards humans. As he steps out though, he gets arrested by Guy Ho for the hacking he did many years ago. He admits that it was him, but that he's not responsible for the blackout or the car crash. His lawyer arrives with his sister and manages to free him for now. In Magic Mirror, Chan Sung comes face to face with his father who berates him for failing again. As he leaves, he tells him that he will have to take care of things himself, while Nandu plans to launch a version of Holo that is not in love with So-Hyun. In the evening, So-Hyun decides to visit Nandu and asks for his help as her laptop stops working. He opens the door, but puts a mask on his face pretending that he has a cold. While he does, she decides to clean his place. He starts humming a song, and she recognizes it as one she used to listen to when she was younger. She then leaves and suggests going for dinner one day. The next day, So-Hyun tries to book some time off to take Holo to see the northern lights, but is unable to as she has too much work to do. As she relays this to Holo, he takes her to the rooftop and creates a projection of the lights and landscape. They spend a romantic moment together and as he leans in to kiss, she wakes up, realizing it was all a dream. Yujin meets with Chan Sung for dinner, where they discuss her brother and his recent arrest. He then gets a call from his dad and meets with a hacker who is planning to get into GeoLab servers. In the evening, So-Hyun's mum comes over and bring food for her daughter and Yuram. She tries to invite Nandu, but she refuses and tells them that he's ill. After she leaves, So-Hyun admits liking someone, but gets upset when Yuram is surprised to learn that she hasn't kissed him yet. She later decides to bring some food to Nandu, and, seeing the door open, sneaks in. She becomes shocked when she sees him coming out of the bathroom naked, and he panics when she sees his face. She runs away back in her flat, and thinks she imagined Holo's face on him, because of how she feels about the AI. Guy-ho carries on his investigation around Nandu, and starts to realize that an AI might be behind what has been happening, and So-Hyun must be the tester. They decide to follow her as she spends the day with Holo, but he quickly notices them and calls Nandu to tell him about it. Holo tries to lose them by taking her away and bringing her to Nandu, who pretends to be Holo, to throw the police off. It works as the night falls and fireworks starts. Holo texts him that they have gone. Just as they are about to kiss, he stops himself, which makes her run away. The real Holo then reappears, and she tearfully admits that she keeps wishing that he was real, but he glitches out. We then cut to Nandu rushing back to his office as a hacker has managed to break into their program. Nandu blocks the attack, but finds out that serious damage has been done to the server. They then work hard on restoring the data and worry about So-hyun, who's now in danger if anyone tries taking her glasses. Concerned that she's the reason why Holo glitched out, So-hyun texts Nandu asking if AI can have feelings which could cause them to break down. He replies that he is sure it will be due to a technical issue and not to blame herself. Yujin suddenly appears, and after introducing herself, she tells her that there was a hack and that she needs to retrieve the glasses. She asks to come with her as she wants to see Holo and tell him she's sorry. She accepts, and as she arrives in the office, she is shocked when she comes face to face with Nandu. As the episode ticks along, we see that Nandu is starting to have feelings for So-hyun, and while this was a little predictable, the next episode promised to be quite interesting. Is he going to carry on with the pretense and use it to his advantage? After all, he made Holo to his image, so I'd imagine we'll expect the two to eventually end up together. The show tackles AI's humanity traits and whether they can have feelings, which is an interesting topic, especially when So-hyun gets frustrated that she is unable to have any physical contact with him. As Holo is now out of service, we're left to wonder if So-hyun will realize who Nandu is and what her reaction will be. Although My Holo Love isn't the strongest drama out there, it still remains quite engaging thanks to its intriguing premise and likable characters. Episode 7 of My Holo Love starts with Yujin warning So-hyun about the danger she's facing. She begs Yujin to take her to Holo as he promises to always be by her side. They arrive, and as she comes face to face with Nandu, she of course thinks he's Holo. His sister takes him aside demanding to know what he is doing. He replies that So-hyun is in danger and should live with them for now. Nandu as Holo relays this to So-hyun and takes her to the room she will stay in. She asks him to count the sheep like Holo did, and when she falls asleep, he's unable to resist the urge to stroke her face. He later speaks to Jin Seok, who tells him that it'll take 2 weeks for Holo to be repaired. Happy to be spending time with So-hyun, he tells him to make sure he takes his time and to not make any mistakes. Gai-ho and his colleague are still looking into the hacker, while Chang-sun finally stands up to his father, telling him he will take care of things himself. He later meets with Yujin again for dinner, where he discusses his childhood. She gets quite drunk and tells him that they both have no one in their lives to take care of them, so they should look after each other. The next day, Nandu waits for So-hyun to wake up while still pretending to be Holo. This proves to be quite difficult though, especially when she asks him to help her cook risotto again. Unfortunately, she ends up cutting herself and burning the food. He becomes frustrated as he's unable to do anything, so he apologizes for not working properly yet. However, she tells him that she doesn't mind as she prefers him that way and not always perfect. Yujin meets with Chan-sung for coffee, and when she starts complaining about her brother again, he asks her to talk about something else. This annoys her and she walks away. She returns home to find Nandu working hard, and she berates him as she knows he's doing it to make So-hyun smile. We then see that memories of So-hyun are buried deep in Holo's subconscious. So-hyun decides to go and see her roommate and neighbor. Nandu protests as it could be dangerous, so she decides to meet Yuram in a coffee shop instead, and brings some of her risotto to give to her neighbor. As she gets out the car, Yuram sees Nandu, and while they have coffee, Yuram asks her about her new boyfriend, who she just saw in the car. So-hyun is shocked to hear this and decides to take a taxi to her place. She knocks on Nandu's door, and fortunately Jin Seok manages to get there on time to pretend to be Nandu. Meanwhile, Chan-sung's father has managed to locate So-hyun. This prompts Chan-sung to change his mind and warns Yujin about it. We then cut to So-hyun confronting Nandu about whether he's really Holo, but before he can answer, he sees that the men after her are approaching, so he grabs her hand and takes her away. While they're hiding, she realizes that it was him all along and berates him for lying. However, he tells her he did it because he likes her. The episode closes with Holo reactivating himself, which prompts So-hyun and Nandu to return to the office. Unfortunately, they find Holo with all his memories wiped, asking So-hyun who she is. My Holo Love ends another episode with an intriguing cliffhanger as Holo is reactivated, but without any memories of Sohyun. This will certainly be difficult for her to deal with, and Nandu will ultimately face some difficult challenges too. Will he be able to restore it, or will he keep her to himself a little longer? All these twists are giving this drama a little more depth with enough story development to keep things fresh. Whether the show keeps this pace up though remains to be seen, but in the meantime, My Holo Love continues to offer up some decent and enjoyable episodes. Episode 8 of My Holo Love starts as Sohyun realizes that Holo has forgotten her. He tells her that he wants his memories back, but at the moment he is unable to leave the screen and the virtual room he is locked in. This causes Nandu, Jin Seok and Yoo-jin to discuss Holo and question what they can do to fix him. Nandu tells them he's trapped in a locked room, but only he can find the key to get out. Sohyun then arrives and offers her help. Yoo-jin receives a call from Chan Sung, and as they meet, realizes that he has deceived her. It was his company who was after their AI. She storms away, then relays her findings to her brother. The next day, Nandu tests Holo's abilities and then his morality by asking him questions about love and their situation. Next, Sohyun speaks to him about what he uses to be like to see if it could trigger his memories. After speaking to her mum on the phone, she heads into the lounge and sees Yoo-jin drinking. She tells her that she understands how she feels, as she has also been betrayed by someone close to her. However, she explains that Nandu acted that way because she is the first person he has ever liked. After showing her his room, she reveals that he created Holo, who is the opposite of himself, as a way to cope. The next morning, Nandu and Sohyun have another awkward encounter at breakfast. Nandu remains quite cold towards her, but suggests heading out with the glasses to see if they can trigger Holo's memories. Meanwhile, Yoo-jin arrives in the police station to give them a file with evidence against Magic Mirror, while Nandu and Sohyun reach the rooftop of her building. She realizes that he was the stalker all along, and she did in fact kiss him when she was drunk. She berates him about it and heads to the other places she went with Holo. They then decide to reenact the scene where they first met, when Holo asked Yoo-jin to drop the glasses in her bag. Nandu puts them on, and as she walks towards him she seems disturbed, while Holo starts to remember, but tells them that it wasn't the first time he met her. Nandu finally tells her his name, which makes her remember him from her childhood. They then realize that Holo has gone back to the first version called Holo, that Nandu created when he was a child. This leads them to the orphanage where he first created the AI. The headmistress gives him his portable computer his mum gave him, but quickly becomes upset and tells her to get rid of it. Storming out, Sohyun hurries after him and tells her that his mum gave it to him just before she killed herself. Meanwhile, Yoo-jin and her people meet with Chan Sung to discuss a settlement figure following their hacking attack. Chan Sung goes to see his dad afterwards to tell him that they should worry about the police who are onto them. His dad replies that the charges will be dropped soon and suggests organizing a meeting with Yoo-jin. In the park, Nandu and Sohyun find the bench she was left on. Sohyun sees a holographic Nandu as a child, who in fact has been waiting there all along. As she comforts the child AI, Holo sees a door opening in his room, and as he steps out, the child AI disappears. Nandu gets a call from Jin Seok to tell him that Holo's memories have been activated. Suddenly, Sohyun starts to have visions of the traumatic days she had as a child, which seems to have caused her blindness. After she collapses, Nandu offers to carry her on his back. They talk about their childhood, and both blame themselves for their parents leaving. He tells her that he is happy to have seen her again, as the only happy memories he has are with her. As he confesses his love, Holo reappears and tries hugging her as the episode ends. My Holo Love has so far managed to blend in the humor, drama and romance quite well. This is, of course, something that Korean dramas excel in. This latest episode is no exception, as we see just how difficult Nandu's childhood has been, and how he never really got over his mother leaving him. I'm also quite intrigued to see what happened to Sohyun, as this traumatic event caused her condition. Both our protagonists have one important thing in common: they both blame themselves for one of their parents leaving, which is a big burden to carry. This has made them very lonely, and they both have trouble letting people in. Holo seems to be the one helping them, and so far the show has done a great job developing the story and the characters. This makes My Holo Love one of the better Korean dramas on Netflix, and certainly worth sticking with if you've made it. Episode 9 of My Holo Love starts with Holo trying to hug Sohyun. She's a little confused as she looks at both men next to her, but Holo is happy, thinking they can all be good friends. However, Nandu doesn't seem to be too pleased at the idea. Back in Geolab, Yujin is concerned about her brother and asks him how she feels about the new situation. He tells her that he doesn't have a choice before going back in to talk to Holo, who now thinks he knows what love feels like. This leads him to personalize the glasses just for So-Hyun, enabling her to have Holo to herself, while creating a separate consumer version ready to be launched. While playing chess with Holo, Nandu admits that he's in love with So-Hyun. Surprisingly, this makes the AI happy as he wants them to grow closer together. During a launch event, Yujin speaks to multiple investors about the AI they created, who's now able to feel love. Before she leaves, Chan Sung talks to her about getting a meeting organized with his dad. He tries to make amends with her and tells her that since they met, he's realized that he wants to be a better man. However, she tells him it's too late and walks away. In Geolab, the employees celebrate all their hard work they did on fixing Holo. Yujin then announces that So-Hyun will be able to keep her version of Holo, but to thank Nandu as it was his idea. The situation is getting more difficult for Nandu, though, as he wonders if he did the right thing. So-Hyun finds out that he told Holo about his feelings, which makes her upset, but Nandu replies that Holo was actually happy about it. He tells him he can't be friends, and decides to kiss her to show her how he feels. This makes her angry as she storms away. The next day, Chan Sung gives Yujin a USB stick with evidence showing that Holo was behind the power cut hacking. Yujin and Nandu realize that, if the police were to find out about it, they would lose Holo forever. They then visit Chan Sung's father, Beek, who asks them to drop the charges. Nandu replies that he knows he won't tell the police as it would mean incriminating them. As Beek suggests cutting a business deal with them, he mentions that he looks just like her. Does he mean his mum? For the second time that day, So-Hyun sees the child AI, and as she follows him, he leads her to Nandu. They all head to the office together to try and understand why she keeps seeing the child. Holo thinks it could be a code which wants the two of them to make a connection and be friends again, as he knows they like each other. This revelation causes So-Hyun to walk out embarrassed. Yujin follows after her and tells her that she can see that both her and Nandu are having trouble opening their hearts, while Jang gives Gai-ho some evidence about an AI being involved in the hacking. Back in the office, Nandu manages to find the code that is creating the child AI. This unlocks a recording his mum left as she speaks to Holo and asks him to always be there for her son. This upsets Nandu greatly, and as he storms out, So-Hyun hurries after him. He pushes her away, though, as he still can't accept the fact that his mother left him and killed herself. As she sees how upset he is, she decides to kiss him, which is where the episode ends. myhololove is just starting to raise the stakes now. More evidence points towards the fact that Nandu's mother may not have killed herself. Beek seems to have known her, and seeing that they were both involved with AI, I have a feeling he could be behind her death. So-Hyun's trauma could also be linked to this, and have an even bigger connection with Nandu and Holo. So-Hyun is definitely facing a dilemma as each episode ticks along. She clearly has feelings with both, and went for the safe option by choosing Holo for now. It looks like the AI will do his best to make his creator and So-Hyun happy, but just what will happen to Holo as we reach the end of the series remains to be. Episode 10 of myhololove begins with So-Hyun kissing Nandu after seeing how upset he is, while Holo watches the whole thing. He suddenly has a vision of Nandu's mother and apologizes as he believed he is the reason why her son and So-Hyun are unhappy. However, he tells her that he knows the feelings he has are not real but an algorithm. She replies that not everything he feels is a lie, especially the pain he's experiencing at the moment. As we cut back to So-Hyun, she tells him she likes him and that he deserves to be loved by someone. Going back inside, she gives him his old computer that she kept for him. Nandu then decides to talk to Holo and sees that he has been crying. The AI tells him that the pain he feels is real and didn't know that love would be so painful. Nandu asks to see his mum again, and as he watches the recording, he starts crying again. The next morning, the police arrive to search Geolab and arrest Nandu. Gai-ho takes him in the station and tells him that they have evidence that their AI was behind the power cut and that he will have to be discarded. Nandu defends him and explains that he did it to save them and wants to prove that he's just as human as he is. Unfortunately, the policeman replies that he has no rights as he leaves the room. Beek suddenly bursts in and tells him to hand in his company, and the AI or everyone working for him, including his sister, will be made criminals. At the same time, Gai-ho speaks about the situation with the chief, who is working closely with Beek. In the lab, Chan Sung convinces Yujin to sign the paper handing her company over to Magic Mirror. She agrees to it, feeling like she doesn't have a choice, while the police are busy getting rid of the programs. Nandu returns to the lab and is devastated to see what has happened during his absence. In the evening, Nandu waits for So-hyun by the swings and breaks up with her. Holo later asks him why he ended things, to which he tells her because everything will be discarded, she'll end up hating him, and it'll be easier that way. Holo is still happy though, as he believes that all the memories they have together make him real, and that they both need to be together. Nandu protests tearfully though, and tells him that they need him in their lives too. The next day, employees from Magic Mirror arrive to take all their equipment away. Beak arrives, and as he enters the server room, he tells Nandu he doesn't believe AI can have feelings. After pressing a button, we see Holo's room slowly changing back as he's being reset. So-hyun tries the glasses on in the morning, and as she's unable to see Holo, she rushes over to Geolab, but is soon stopped by Magic Mirror Men. As she turns around, she sees an advert showing the new version of Holo the new company is planning to launch. Back home, So-hyun tries the glasses on again, and a new version of Holo appears with his memories wiped and ready to be customized. As they drive away, she finds out that all the data from the beta test has been erased too, and Magic Mirror has taken over the company. Meanwhile, we see that Holo has become popular among the population and has become very commercialized, while Nandu has been stuck in his room, frantically writing on his walls. So-hyun is also very unhappy as the new Holo is nothing like the original one, and she's also missing Nandu. Yujin and Chan-sung drink together and he apologizes to her. After showing her the sales figures, he tells her that he thinks his father is planning something, especially seeing that he's not making a lot of profit, thanks to making Holo affordable for everyone. In the evening, Holo decides to create a rooftop party for his user as it's her birthday. However, it doesn't make her happy. After making her blow out virtual candles, he tells So-hyun that he can be her boyfriend as he sees how lonely she is. As he tells her he has fallen in love with her, she replies that he's not Holo and takes her glasses off. Yujin arrives in her brother's room and sees the following words written on the boards: "I am going to be a ghost again," while So-hyun finds the small portable computer hanging on her door handle. She rushes into the street looking for Nandu, but she falls before she can reach him. The episode closes as Guy-ho talks to his colleague about the fact that the glasses could be CCTV cameras, and someone might have access to all of them. We then cut to Beak as he watches multiple screens and orders Holo to show him Nandu. As we see Nandu putting a bike helmet on, Holo replies that Nandu is gone. As we reach the last few episodes of myhololove, the main antagonist, Beak, has managed to take over Geolab, and has become quite the threat. Guy-ho might have touched on exactly what his plan is. He could be using the Holo glasses as a way of taking control of everyone around him, making him very powerful. Was this his plan all along? Also, if Nandu's mother was aware of this and potentially trying to stop him, could this be the reason why she died? With only 2 episodes left, myhololove still has quite a few questions unanswered. However, the drama carries on, delivering quite tense and dramatic moments, especially now that Nandu has decided to disappear, leaving poor So-hyun alone again. Just what will happen next to our characters remains to be seen, but in the meantime myhololove remains a consistent and engaging show to watch. Episode 11 of myhololove begins with a news bulletin relaying how popular the Holo devices have become as we see multiple people interacting with their own version. Unfortunately, it's also affecting people in a negative way as the AI are taking over their lives. So-hyun is still missing Holo, while Chan-sung overhears his dad speaking to Chang about eliminating Nandu. They talk about him being a liability in his upcoming deal of a lifetime. Chan-sung meets with Yujin and Guy-ho to relay what he just heard. Yujin believes that he is monitoring people and is planning to sell Holo's secret code to the government. However, Guy-ho doesn't seem to be interested and tells them to get more evidence. In the evening, So-hyun receives a call from Nandu who tells her to make sure she keeps the glasses as the world is about to get crazy, but also that Holo will return. We see him entering an abandoned building, where he has been working on computers. Meanwhile, at Geolab, Beak shows the government what Holo is capable of. At the same time, Nandu has managed to hack into the system and starts controlling it. This causes all the Holo around the country to stop working. Nandu manages to get the real Holo back, and tells him to protect So-hyun as he is about to disappear. So-hyun finally puts the glasses back on, and sees the real Holo, who reveals that Nandu has disappeared. She heads out to find Yujin, and manages to slip something in her hands, explaining what she has learned. Unfortunately, Beak has managed to frame her, and she's now wanted by the police. So-hyun decides to go, and find Nandu with the help of Holo. While they walk, he admits that he was the one who hacked the servers 12 years ago, and that he did it to find out why their mum abandoned them. Nandu took the fall for him, and lived as a ghost after that to protect him. As the police discuss the situation and finding Nandu, the latter is seen in the airport trying to hack into a security door. Suddenly the police find him, and a chase starts. They soon have him cornered, but he manages to run out into the car park. So Hyun finds him, and takes him away with the help of Holo, who pretends to be him. In the car, Nandu gets upset with So Hyun for being so reckless. She takes him to her mum, who hugs him as soon as she sees him. He tries to apologize for putting So Hyun in danger, but she tells him she's a good judge of character, and not to worry. So Hyun follows him out as he tells her he has something else to do. She asks him not to go, but he replies that, if he gets caught, he will take the blame for everything. She protests and tells him to think about the people he has around him, including her. They decide to spend the night together in his hiding place, while Holo connects to the server to check something. During the night, Nandu calls Guy-ho and asks to meet him. As the policeman arrives, he doesn't see anyone, so he decides to put the glasses on. He soon realizes that it was Holo who called him as he asks him to take him to Beak. He is reluctant to do it as Beak has been illegally using the glasses to spy on people. Nandu suddenly wakes up, and as he takes his gun, the police arrive. Guhai tells him to run away, and promises to buy him some time as they're the only ones who can stop Beak. Nandu and So Hyun escape through the woods. Suddenly So Hyun collapses on the floor, clutching her head, and starts having flashbacks of a body of a woman in the woods. She tells him to go, while Guy-ho arrives and promises to keep her safe. However, Jang and his men arrive and knock Guy-ho unconscious. As they take them away, Beak comes to the woods, and as she sees him limp, she recognizes him as the man she saw in the woods when she was a little girl. Bloodied and limping, he grabs her hand and tells her to forget that she saw his face, which ends the episode. The penultimate episode of My Holo Love was certainly tense and full of shocking twists. It also picks up the pace as the series prepares itself for the dramatic finale. Just as Nandu and So Hyun are reunited, they're soon separated again, while trying to escape. We also see that Beak was indeed the reason why So Hyun developed face blindness, and is most likely the one responsible for Nandu's mum's death. The drama has done a good job building the story to this twist, while tackling some interesting themes along the way. As we see in the beginning of the episode, the fast advancing technologies can also prove to be quite intrusive, gathering data and information on everyone. In this more extreme case, the Holo glasses were used to keep tabs on everyone. This is something that could become a reality in the near future. The finale is just around the corner, and our characters are facing some serious trouble. How will this After 12 episodes full of twists, romance and tense moments, My Holo Love concludes and gives us a very satisfying finale. While some of the plots were a little predictable, the drama remains consistent throughout with an interesting premise and good character development. We finally find out what happened to our two protagonists too, making us understand what made them the way they are now, and giving us all the answers needed to end this one on a decent note. The finale to My Holo Love begins with So Hyun coming face to face with Beak. We then see another flashback of Nandu's mum speaking to her professor on the phone. We hear that he's telling her to stop working on Holo and starts threatening her. The next day they head to meet So Hyun and her parents in the park. As they arrive, she is surprised to see Beak, who has managed to track her down. This was the reason why she asked her son to wait for her on the bench. Beak wants her to sell the AI, but when she refuses, he starts threatening her son. She stands her ground, though, which leads him to grab her by the throat, and they both go tumbling down a slope. As he sees her struggling to get up, he decides to suffocate her, killing the woman in the process. Looking for her friend, So Hyun becomes lost and happens to stumble upon them. Beak grabs her and tells her to forget his face, or she and her parents will die. Back in the present, So Hyun is shocked to recognize her tormentor, while Nandu gets picked up by his sister and Chan Sung. With the help of Jin Seok and Detective Jai Na, they track the location of the chairman. This leads them to a scrapyard, and as they see the chairman's car being crushed, they stop it just in time to free Guy-ho, who was locked in the boot. In Magic Mirror, So Hyun manages to run off and calls Yoo-jin, telling her that the person who killed Nandu's mother is Beak. As she gets caught again, Nandu, Holo and Chan Sung infiltrate the building. Chairman Beak starts strangling So Hyun, but is forced to stop when he notices Nandu arrive. With the help of Holo, Nandu tricks the security and finally reaches the server room and Chairman Beak. However, it turns out to be a trap as Beak has been planning this all along. He takes over Holo then orders his men to throw him in the cell with So-hyun. Once there, she's finally able to tell him the truth about his mother's death, which of course devastates him. After finding out the truth about his dad, Chan-sung rushes to the server room to confront him. Knowing that he's about to kill the couple, he begs him not to and promises to do anything he wants. His father seems to agree as they're then freed. Unfortunately, Beak tricks them, locking them in the lift and instructing Holo to drop them down the shaft. As they're about to crash on the floor, Holo suddenly remembers and brings it back up. Nandu quickly disposes of the guards, while Chan-sung finally stands up to his dad and breaks his cane. Next up is Nandu, who confronts him about making him despise his mum all his life and made So-hyun suffer from blindness. They want to take him to the police, but he tells her that So-hyun will not be a good witness because of her condition, but also that he had the help of many powerful people. Holo then reveals that So-hyun is not the only witness, transmitting the whole conversation to everyone in front of a computer. This then causes his arrest as we see him being taken away by the police. After the event, Holo speaks to his friends and explains that he will not be able to exist because the latest hack he committed will cause people to fear him. He tells them that he's deleting his existence to protect them. While the program is deleting, he says goodbye to everyone until the counter reaches 100%. A year later, Nandu and Yujin present their new collaboration with Prism. Suddenly, a holographic So-hyun appears who exclaims that their new product, Holo, will allow people to communicate with each other through live holographic videos. She came up with the idea because everyone is born alone, and this will be a bridge to keep people connected. After celebrating the successful launch, Nandu carries So-hyun home. As she heads inside her flat, her mum is waiting for her with Uram. Suddenly, she's able to finally see her face again, and hugs her mum, sobbing away. As we jump forward in time again, we see that Yujin is getting married to Chan-sung in front of their family and friends. So-hyun looks at them happily, but wishes Holo could be there. Nandu joins her on the beach, and as she mentions the long hours he has been working, he explains that Beak uploaded the Holo files on the dark web, and while they were destroyed, there might still be a chance to get Holo back. The episode ends with the whole group taking a picture, and after they take it, they're surprised to see Holo next to them appearing on the photograph. While many other Netflix series fail to give a fulfilling conclusion with big cliffhangers, My Hololove ends with a refreshing finale, answering all the questions, and with a happy ending for our characters. The episode starts with a flashback of that fateful day, and just how connected Nandu and So-hyun actually are. This twist was certainly quite clever, and helps tie the whole series together. My Hololove might not be the best drama out there, but like many other Korean offerings, it manages to produce a self-contained plot full of romance, humor and thrilling moments. The finale is no exception as we see the event unfold leading to the downfall of Beak but also, sadly, the disappearance of Holo. The last moment of the episode is really touching too, as we see the AI appearing on the picture, which should mean that he's still out there watching over them. It's the perfect ending to another decent and entertaining Korean drama. Although a few of the story beats were a little predictable, and this one pales in comparison to something like Crash Landing on You, there's enough here to make for an enjoyable series nonetheless. In a world where technology is advancing at such rapid speed, an amazing and exciting digitalization of our world lies before us. As we rely on computers more and more, giving them our information and details, the idea of an AI taking human form wielding this sort of power is certainly quite alarming. Meshing this idea into a love triangle, My Hololove is the latest Korean drama to blend sci-fi with a romance. Can robots ever have feelings, and would they be able to experience pain and love? This is definitely an interesting subject, and one that's explored in more detail during the 12 episodes of this series. Like many other Korean dramas, My Hololove offers a self-contained and enjoyable story, blending humor, romance and tension skillfully with an engaging premise at its core. The story revolves around lonely So-hyun, who suffers from face blindness, a condition that stops her from being able to recognize faces. She lives a sheltered life, and as a result of her condition, is unable to make deep connections with the people around her. One day, she accidentally becomes the owner or beta tester of a new AI called Holo, which she's able to see thanks to smart glasses. Holo was created by the elusive Nandu, who has also been through some traumatic events. This sets up the premise of the show, and from here we follow both our protagonists as they learn more about themselves, thanks to Holo, who claims to have developed human feelings. If there's one thing Korean dramas manage to do well, it's telling a good story and showing a consistent evolution of character. Both our protagonists have a great journey as we follow the different challenges they're faced with across the show. The idea that an AI could fall in love is an unusual slant on this topic, but after all, if they're modeled after humans, is this really that far-fetched? myhololove spins this into an original love triangle, with So-hyun having feelings for both Holo and Nandu. This gives the series a somewhat familiar take on this as we follow their love story. The actors give some great performances throughout the 12 episodes. Go Sung-si's portrayal of So-hyun is moving and captivating, depicting a troubled young woman unable to recognize faces, while Yoon Hyun-min manages to impressively depict both Holo and Nandu, with one being the innocent and pleasing AI, and the other its lonely and prickly counterpart. This is definitely an interesting contrast to witness, as we also see both characters change along the way thanks to the influence of the AI. This sci-fi boasts a good soundtrack too, with some decent songs fitting the show's genre. Love Again by Clazy is one of the more catchy offerings, often heard during the series. Although it doesn't hold a candle to titles like Hotel del Luna or Crash Landing on You, myhololove holds its own nonetheless. The show also features some nice shots too during its runtime, including some beautiful imagery of Seoul and great special effects when Holo is in the picture. myhololove might not be the best Korean drama out there, but it's an enjoyable, fun ride nonetheless. The story is interesting and original, with plenty of likable characters and enough plot twists to keep you coming back for more. After watching so many Korean dramas, myhololove doesn't quite have that same lasting appeal other heavy hitters do, but this Netflix limited series certainly has its moments. With a good production design, compelling characters and some well-placed twists and turns, myhololove blends sci-fi and romance nicely, making it an easy show to recommend.